Andasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupaha Kadamahyam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadhavaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitangsha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Pashatya Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gaurtushe Namaha He Krishna Garuna Sindhu Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishamanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya cha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hope all of you are doing well in your Krishna consciousness and you're spending your days in the month of Kartik in a very, very beneficial manner. We are going to start a very special chapter today, chapter 9. It's the essence of all the knowledge given in all the scriptures. So because we cannot study all the scriptures, our human life is too short and we have too many things to do in this one short life. So we can only then study the essence of the Vedas and be benefited. And that's available to us in the form of Bhagavad-gita. And in the Bhagavad-gita, the middle 6 chapters are like the real essence. And in that, the chapter 9 and 10, they are the essence of the essence. I'm sorry if the audio is breaking. Maybe there's some internet issue. So, or maybe it's wrong on your end. Let's see how it goes. All right, so it's okay. So maybe it's wrong on your end. Check your internet connection, please. So this chapter is called Most Confidential Knowledge, Raja Vidya, Raja Guhya Yoga. Very confidential. To us, it may not sound so confidential because we have it in front of us. But then actually, for many people who even study the Vedas, they cannot come to the conclusion which is very easily presented here in this chapter. It takes years and years, decades and decades of study to come to this conclusion, what is presented in this chapter, So that's why this is very confidential, very, very confidential knowledge. And those who are getting this knowledge are quite fortunate souls. So we should be happy that this is something made available to us. So we'll chant the Mangalacharan prayer for Bhagavad-gita. Namostute Vyasa Vishala Buddhe Fullaravindayata Patra Netre Yena Tvaya Bharata Taila Purnaha Prajavadito Jnanamaya Pradipaha Prapanna Parijataya Totra Vetraikapanaye Jnanamudraya Krishnaya Gitamrita Duhe Namaha. So Krishna is milking the Vedas and giving us nectar, the milk in the form of Bhagavad-gita. He's presenting it to us. So we'll do a quick look back just to bring you to the point where we are in our study of Bhagavad-gita, and ask you 4 questions, and you can quickly give the answer to that. You can put the answer in the chat box, or you can even better do that, put in the chat box. So what are the middle 6 chapters of Bhagavad-gita about? Basically, what is the topic being discussed in the middle 6 chapters? Don't refer to Gita diploma course. Based on what we have said here, Bhakti, very good, thank you. Bhakti Yoga. Yes, it's about Bhakti Yoga. Very good. All right, excellent, thank you. Bhakti can be of 2 types, very broad categories. What are those 2 types? Go to not specific, very broad. 2 types of Bhakti can be there, So what can they be? Ashtanga Yoga and Bhakti Yoga? No. Sakam and Nishkam? Yeah, kind of. But then there is some other word, more simple word to explain what you just said. Sakam and Nishkam, more simpler words to explain that. Ananya Bhakti, yes, that's one. Okay, fine, good. So some of you are close to that. Sakam and Nishkam, or you can say mixed and pure. Mixed devotion and pure devotion, correct? Like one of you said, Ananya Bhakti, that's pure devotion. Very good. Then pure Bhakti was introduced in which chapter in Bhagavad Gita, 7 or 8? Pure Bhakti was first time told about or mentioned in which chapter? Chapter 8. Yes, chapter 8. Chapter 7 spoke mostly about mixed devotion. Pure Bhakti was introduced in chapter 8, verse number 14. And by which word in Bhagavad Gita is pure Bhakti most often referred by? Which word? Which word is used to refer to pure Bhakti in Bhagavad Gita? Something which already mentioned before. All right. In Sanskrit, it's called Ananya. Right? Ananya. Anya means other. Anya means no other. No other motivation. That's called pure Bhakti. Very good. So we are on track. We know what we are studying. At least some of you know what you're studying. So now the link between chapters 8 and 9. In the previous chapter, if you remember, we discussed about how the yogi leaves the body and then tries to go to the spiritual abode. There are 2 paths, the path of light, the path of darkness. The path of light, how many demigods assist in that path? To go to the spiritual world, how many demigods assist in that path? We mentioned that in the class. Yes, chat box. 12, very good. All right, and then how many demigods assist in the path of darkness, which makes you go all the way to moon and then come back from moon to planet Earth? 8, very good. So in the previous chapter, Krishna mentioned that a pure devotee who is fixed on performing Ananya Bhakti surpasses the path of light and darkness, which means a pure devotee does not really depend on these paths to attain success in life, right? And that's why Krishna then concluded that devotion is the topmost. It includes the benefits of all the paths. You want to study the Vedas? That's included in Bhakti. You want to give charity? That's included in Bhakti. You want to perform austerity? That's included in Bhakti. So in this chapter 9, now Krishna is going to explain how to become such a pure devotee or Ananya Bhakta. That's why this chapter is called Most Confidential Knowledge. This chapter is very similar to chapter 7. Chapter 7 had 5 topics that were discussed. This chapter also has 5 topics, same topics. But then it's an advanced version of chapter 7, just like chapter 5 of Bhagavad-gita was an advanced version of which chapter? Remember? Chapter 5 was an advanced version of which chapter? Chapter 3. Very good. All right. So chapter 5 was advanced version of 3, 9 is an advanced version of 7. Now here's a table for you to do a quick revision. I know those who did Gita diploma course, they have seen this table in chapter 9 session, but still good to revise. the knowledge of Atma or spirit soul is confidential. How many people in this world know that I am spirit soul? Very few. So it's a confidential knowledge. And Sanskrit is called Guhya. So chapters 2 to 6 spoke about that. It tells us the difference between matter and spirit, and this knowledge can award one liberation, mukti or moksha. But in chapter 7 and 8, Krishna talk about bhakti, and that is more confidential. Guhya tara gyan. It's not understood to be the final conclusion of Vedas by many. Many people think jnana is superior to bhakti, but it's not so. Bhakti is the topmost, right? And then chapter 9 is most confidential. It's guhya tamam, attain pure bhakti or kevala bhakti, and this leads to attainment of Krishna. Bhakti opens the door to Vaikuntha. Knowledge of soul brings us to the door of Vaikuntha. But then if you want to enter into that door, then that door gets opened by bhakti. Fine. So a person who is Atma Jnani, self-realized, can see Brahma Jyoti, but then will not be allowed to go beyond the Brahma Jyoti, will be stuck there. And a person who has bhakti can enter into that zone or that arena. So this is how we come to know about the glory of this chapter. This chapter is so nice that if one attentively studies this chapter, it can awaken devotional sentiments in one's heart for the Supreme Lord Krishna. We all want to love, but then we may not really know how to love Krishna. And this chapter can help us to awaken that loving sentiment. Or if it's already there, it can help to intensify that loving sentiment towards Krishna. That's the glory of this chapter. Let's go to first section, chapter shloka 1 to 3. Hearing about Krishna, qualification and disqualification. This is how even chapter 7 began. Krishna told Arjuna, Tat Shruno, now you hear from me, Arjuna. And same thing is going to be spoken here, but in a different way, a different approach is taken. So these 3 verses, they glorify the content of this chapter. What is this chapter all about? What will this chapter give to me when I study this chapter, right? That is mentioned in these 3 verses. Let's chant these 3 shlokas before we discuss them. Text 1. Shri Bhagavana Vacha Idam tu te guhyatamam pravakshyami anasuyave jnanam vijnana sahitam 𝗄𝗶𝗹𝗹 mokshase shubhat. Next shloka, go to 2. Rajavidya rajaguhyam pavitram idamuttamam pratyaksh avagamam dharmyam susukham kartumavyayam. Text 3. This is a very long purport, 9.2, and then text 3. Ashraddhadhanah purusha dharmasyasya parantapa aprapya mam nivartante mrityu sansara vartmani. So if you look at the text 1, the text 1 talks about the knowledge being most confidential, and we already discussed that aspect. And Krishna is telling, I'm going to give you this knowledge, Arjuna, jnanam vijnana sahitam, 𝗄𝗶𝗹𝗹 mokshase shubhat. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, my dear Arjuna, because you are never envious of me, I shall impart to you this most confidential knowledge and realization, knowing which you shall be relieved of the miseries of material existence. This is Krishna's promise. He's speaking about the qualification and the result. So you can see I've highlighted some of the words in the Sanskrit text. If you like, you can also underline those words in your book or note them down, because they are like key points about which we are going to learn in the shloka, or Prabhupada has spoken about them in the purport. So the word guhyatamam has already been explained by me. It's most confidential knowledge. Pravakshyami anasuyave. Anasuyave or anasuya means never envious, one who does not have envy, free from envy. Suya, asuya, anasuya, free from envy. And jnanam, vijnana, these two words have already come before in chapter 7, if you remember. We discussed these two words there in chapter 7. So let's read this. Let's read the paragraph, sorry, the purport here. I'll ask one of you to read, those who hardly read. Okay. Yes. Vijaya Krishna Mataji, would you like to read the paragraph, purport, first two paragraphs? Yes, here. Yes.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
As the devotee hears more and more about the Supreme Lord, he becomes enlightened. This hearing process is recommended in the Srimad Bhagavatam. The message of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are full of potencies, and these potencies can be realized if topics regarding the Supreme Godhead are discussed among devotees. Prabhu, can you please take it?
Yeah.
This cannot be achieved by the association of mental speculators or academic scholars, or it is realized knowledge. The devotees are constantly engaged in the Supreme Lord's service. The Lord understands the mentality and sincerity of a particular living entity who is engaged in Krishna consciousness and gives him the intelligence to understand the science of Krishna in the association of devotees. Discussion of Krishna is very potent, and if a fortunate person has such association and tries to assimilate the knowledge, then he will surely make advancement towards spiritual realization. Lord Krishna, in order to encourage Arjuna to higher and higher elevation in his potent service, describes in this 9th chapter matters more confidential than any he has already disclosed.
Thank you, Matish. So here Prabhupada writes very nice, important line. Discussion of Krishna is very potent. It is potent in planting the seed of devotion in our heart to Krishna. It is potent in awakening us to the reality of immortality. It is potent in making our hearts soft to receive the transcendental message and begin to love and appreciate Krishna and Krishna's creation more. It is potent to make us a divine human being, a divine personality. It is potent in extinguishing all our material miseries. So the message of Krishna is very potent. That's why those who are great souls, like we'll hear and study in coming verses of this chapter, the great souls, they find opportunities to hear about Krishna and speak about Krishna. They think that is an asset. Like, people are out there looking for money, looking for property, looking for so many things, objects, material possessions, name, fame, success, etc. But then those who are great souls, they look out for opportunities to hear about Krishna and, if possible, speak about Krishna, because they know this is going to bring one greatest benefit, greatest reward also. Yeah, it can bring one the greatest reward. So let's look at this table once. What are the qualifications required? So 2 qualifications required to hear about Krishna. First, anasuyave, one should be non-envious of Krishna, and shraddhadhanaha, one should have faith. 2 things, very important. We come to know about these 2 qualities from verses 9.1 and 9.3. 9.1 talks about non-enviousness and 9.3 talks about faith. And what we obtain then as a result of it, jnanam and vijnanam, 2 words we are familiar with, theoretical and realized knowledge. And the result is moksha se shubha, free from miserable material existence. Now the miseries that get extinguished by hearing about Krishna is not something going to happen in future. If I attentively give oral reception to Krishna's message, right at that moment, my miseries will be gone. I'll experience a sense of relief. My mind will be free from anxiety, all the mental anguish, all that will go away. It's not that, okay, you keep on hearing about Krishna and one day you'll become free from problems. No, 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 no. The moment you attentively hear about Krishna with faith, that moment itself, that message has the potency to make your heart and mind very light and immediately take you to a different world, to a different place where you feel that, yes, life is difficult, but then no problem. I have Krishna consciousness with me, and that makes life very, very joyful, very, very pleasant. So this is the result of hearing about Krishna. So 3 things we learn in this purport. First, one becomes advanced in knowledge by hearing. First thing. How do you get knowledge? By hearing. Second, only that person who does not have envy can hear properly. The sound will hit the eardrums, and then those sound vibrations that hit the eardrums will enter into our heart only if the heart is free from envy. Otherwise, they will be repelled. They'll be sent away. So who can hear properly? One who doesn't have envy. And third, hearing leads to freedom from miseries. So this point is something which I emphasized a lot in the Gita diploma course, and I'll do here also, that we need to cultivate this quality of becoming non-envious, because envy, it does something to our heart. What does it do? It makes our heart, it makes our heart an unfavorable ground, where good qualities and good feelings, the real good feelings of pure love, cannot cultivate. So envy blocks the flow of love. It makes one see just the bad. It doesn't make one see the good. It hides the good. And it makes one think, why he, why not me? Or why she, why not me? Right? So Krishna is telling Arjuna, because Arjuna, you are not envious of me, I can tell you about my greatness. If someone would be envious of Krishna and Krishna starts speaking about his greatness, what will be that person thinking in his own mind? Oh, you speak so well of yourself. I don't think you are such a good man. You're boasting. You are not that good, I know. Just that you are speaking like that. So Krishna is saying, Arjuna, when I tell you about my glories, you won't think that this is an exaggeration. You won't think that I'm trying to boast. You won't think that, Krishna, why are you so great? Why am I not great like you? You won't think like that. You'll be very happy to know about my glories. So that's why I'm sharing with you. And this is what we also have experienced. If you know, if a person is not happy with your success, you will not feel like telling that person about your success, isn't it? In fact, you will sometimes hide from that person, because you know, if this person comes to know that I'm successful and I'm becoming more and more successful, this person may try to create an obstacle. So then you hide, then you don't want to tell. But if someone is going to celebrate your success, you'll be very happy to share the news. Yes, we did this, and that person will be complimenting you, congratulating you, appreciating you, or maybe helping you to do better. So you would like to share. So generally, we open our heart voluntarily in front of those people whom we see to be as well-wishers. We open up our heart. We let loose the that strict wall that we create around ourselves. We try to break it down and then share with people that this is in my heart. So Krishna is saying, I can do that with you, Arjuna, because you are not envious of me. I can speak this to you. Krishna also mentioned this before in 4.3, that I'm giving this knowledge to you, Arjuna, because Bhakto Sime Sakha Cheti, you are my devotee and you are my friend. When we envy someone, how do we know if I am envious of someone? Very easy. When I hear about a person's happiness and that makes me sad, I envy that person. If I hear about a person's achievements and that makes me think, why should that person get so much of success? Then that's envy. If I hear about someone's good qualities and immediately I say, no, that person is not that good, that person also has these bad qualities, that means I have envy towards that person. I'm not willingly accepting those things about that person, right? So this is very important for us to know, and that's why scriptures, they say that don't envy your guru, because if you envy your guru, then the guru will not be comfortable enough to share everything that's there in the heart, not disclose the knowledge, hide it. So it said, don't envy the guru. Otherwise, the guru will not share whatever he or she can share. So this phenomenon is very important for people to understand if they want to get deeper into spiritual life. Now, Prabhupada has an interesting remark here. Someone please read. Yes, Guru Mayam Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Jnana means theoretical knowledge and Vijnana means practical knowledge. So we have to do it practically, not that I have read Bhagavad-gita and Bhagavata, so I have become a devotee. No, you should practically demonstrate in your life that you are actually devotee. That is called Vijnana Sahitam. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
That's called Vijnana Sahitam. You should demonstrate in your life that you have become a devotee. Yeah, one should practically show that by cultivating the required qualities. Yes. Okay. So now some people get this confusion. That's why I wanted to clarify. This chapter is about bhakti, but then it is also called most confidential knowledge. Param Guhya Jnana. So people get this doubt, is bhakti the essential message of Gita, or is jnana, knowledge, the essential message of Gita? Because here the word mentioned by Krishna is also jnana. Next shloka will say Rajavidya, Rajaguhyam, Pavitramidam Uttamam. So how do we understand bhakti is knowledge or not? So this is a definition. Jnana means, knowledge means by which something is known. That's called jnana, right? Now, by bhakti, what is known? Is there something known by bhakti? Krishna is known by bhakti. That Krishna will say, Bhaktyamang abhijanati yavan yaschashmi tattvataha. By bhakti, I am known. That's why bhakti is also jnana. Bhakti is also knowledge. So when Gita is talking about supreme knowledge or highest knowledge, it's not talking about just knowledge. It's talking about bhakti. That's the highest knowledge. To serve the Lord, that is also knowledge, and that's the highest knowledge. And now why this is the highest knowledge? It has 8 characteristics, which Krishna talks about in the next shloka. 8 qualities or characteristics that make this knowledge the highest knowledge. I have put the 8 characteristics in different colors. So they are Rajavidya, Rajaguhyam, Pavitram, Uttamam, Pratyaksha Avagamam, Dharmyam, Susukham Kartum, Avyayam. 8 qualities. Let's look at the verse now. Rajavidya, Rajaguhyam, Pavitram, Idam Uttamam, Pratyakshavgamam dharmyam susukham kartum avyayam. This is also a shloka for memorization shloka. Translation: this knowledge is the king of education, the most secret of all secrets. It is the purest knowledge, and because it gives direct perception of the self by realization, it is the perfection of religion. It is everlasting and it is joyfully performed. It's the most secret of all secrets. Why it is called secret? Because a person living in material world cannot even imagine what goes on in spiritual world. It's beyond one's capacity to imagine. What is Krishna doing in Golok Vrindavan? What are the gopis doing? What are the gopas doing? There is no way for people to speculate and come to know it, or imagine and come to know it. No, not possible. So it's like, Bhakti opens the window which allows one to see into the spiritual world. What's going on there? People in this world, they are so curious to know about what's going on in the life of the celebrities, life of politicians, sports stars, isn't it? Whom they are going to get married with, what was their first baby's name, and did they have a breakup with someone, or did they sign for some movie, or this person is not going to play in this particular tournament, why? So they want to know the inside story, isn't it? And they take so much interest in that. So that may be a secret thing because it's about someone's private life. But bhakti allows us to see the private life of Krishna, the most secret thing. What Krishna does, what he eats in his breakfast, in his lunch, in his dinner, right? What he does. It allows us to get a glimpse of that. That's why it's the most secret of all secrets. It reveals the most secret thing. What does a living entity do in spiritual world? It tells about that. So here this purport is very long and it is very instructive. We will read only certain sections from here, right? Let's read this slide first. Okay. Rasheshwari Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, can you hear me?
Yes.
Real knowledge. Generally, people are not educated in this confidential knowledge. They are educated in external knowledge. As far as ordinary education is concerned, people are involved with so many departments: politics, sociology, physics, chemistry, mathematics, astronomy, engineering, etc. There are so many departments of knowledge all over the world and many huge universities. But there is unfortunately no university or educational institution where the science of spirit soul is instructed. 9.2 purport. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So Prabhupada emphasizes a lot on this. If someone is a follower of Srila Prabhupada, then he should or she should become used to these kinds of explanations by Prabhupada. He doesn't really go with the social norms, what's going on in the society at present, what people think is education. He doesn't really accept that as education. That's only, like he will say, that's only vocational training, teaching you how to earn your bread and butter. That's all. So if you can earn your bread and butter without it, that's same as earning bread and butter with it. Doesn't matter, doesn't make a difference. If that's all I'm doing and it's only helping me to earn some money, then it's not really education. Education here, he says, is something more, right? It's something more. So Prabhupada calls this as craftsmanship. He says, education means to inquire about the living force which is moving this body. That is education. This is not education that we have manufactured some nice car or nice machine. That is called craftsmanship. That is not education. That is just some material skill, transforming one material object into another material object. That's not education, he said. That's just some skill. If you look at it properly, it is what generally Shudras do, dealing with matter only, not really dealing with spiritual science. So this is, he says, this is education. And then other qualities about this knowledge is mentioned. Raj Vidya done, Raj Guhya done. Then the next is Pavitram. It is very purifying. How it's purifying? Let's read. Surika Mataji, please read this.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Sadhapranam. Pavitram. This knowledge is the purest form of all activities as explained in Vedic literature. In the Padam Purana, man's sinful activities have been analyzed and are shown to be the result of sin after sin. Those who are engaged in fruitive activities are entangled in different stages and forms of sinful reactions. Purport 9.2.
Yeah. Continue reading from here. Okay. Here, Mataji, read here.
For instance, when a seed of a particular tree is sown, the seed does not appear immediately to grow. It takes some time. It is first a small sprouting plant, then it assumes the form of a tree, then it flowers and bears fruit. And when it is complete, the flowers and fruits are enjoyed by the persons who have sown the seed of the tree. Similarly, a man performs a sinful act, and like a seed, it takes time to fructify. There are different stages. The sinful action may have already stopped within the individual, but the result or the fruit of that sinful action are still to be enjoyed. There are sins which are still in the form of a seed, and there are others which are already fructified and are giving us fruits which we are enjoying as distress and pain. As explained in 28th verse of the 7th chapter, a person who has completely ended the reaction of all sinful activities and who is fully engaged in pious activities, being freed from the duality of material world, becomes engaged in devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna. In the other words, those who are actually engaged in the devotional services of the Supreme Lord and already freed from all the reactions. This statement is confirmed in Padam Purana.
Okay.
Should I continue?
Thank you. No, to stop. So this shloka from Padma Purana is very nicely explained in Nectar of Devotion in detail. We'll take that's why this topic more in detail there. However, here I'll just show you one chart which shows how bhakti is very purifying in nature. So you can look at this diagram. It shows the different stages of sinful action. It starts with a sinful desire. Technically, it's known as bijam. You know, bij means seed. So the seed is a desire. Anything begins with a desire, good thing, bad thing. So there is a sinful desire called bij. And then that will lead to a sinful action known as papa. Okay. Once the action is performed, then this action doesn't give a fruit immediately. Like some of you have this doubt, if I have done something wrong in my past life, why should I be punished in this life? It's not a matter of life. It's a matter of time. That particular action in the form of seed needs to become a tree and produce a fruit. Like for example, if you sow a mango seed, then mango seed will take its time to become a mango tree and give you a mango fruit. Mango seeds don't turn into mango fruits in weeks or months. It takes years and years and years and years, right? But some other fruits, you sow them today and then maybe in 6 months you'll get the fruit also, correct? So different actions, they get transformed into reactions over a certain period of time. If it happened that you are alive, your life is long, you may get that reaction in that very life. But if you died, then what will happen? Then the reaction will be attained in the next life, you know. And it's not that I do something in this day and that's the only thing that's going to produce a reaction. No, every moment I am sowing these new and new seeds of desires, which is turning into actions. And that's why there is a new tree or new plant getting developed, and I'll get the fruits of that. So once this action is performed, then there is a next stage known as 𝗹𝗶𝗹𝗹. 𝗹𝗶𝗹𝗹 means I'm going to get a reaction for it, which is not manifest, unmanifest. How much time it will take to manifest? Depends on the kind of action and the severity of the action. Like I explained this with an example. I don't know if I gave this example before. You slap someone today out of some grudge towards that person. Now, you did the action, slapped, correct? Because that person is also a living entity with free will. Now, how does that person want to respond to that action is that person's choice. Now, that person may choose to slap you back immediately at that very moment. That is possible. Or that person may think, oh, you slapped me today because I'm weak and you're strong. So wait for that day when I become strong. I'll teach you a lesson. Now that person has kept the grudge inside and is waiting. Now 20 years later, that person may then try to kill the other person, who slapped. So taking a revenge after 20 years, that's a reaction coming after 20 years. That action took 20 years to produce the fruit or reaction. It's like that. So aprarabdha. Now this aprarabdha will soon turn into prarabdha, called manifest reaction. Once it becomes manifest, we cannot change it. Then it's very difficult. Like the kind of body now I have, I cannot change it. Similarly, all of you, the kind of body you have, you cannot change it. It's achieved. Prarabdha. I cannot get it now. The kind of eyes we have, ears we have, the body we have. It's all done. Now, if there is going to be a change, it's going to be a next life. And then these aprarabdha, it not only gives you a reaction, this is something very dangerous about karma. What is that? This aprarabdha leads to kutam. Kutam means same sinful action now becomes a habit, which means if I have committed something wrong now, next time there are more chances I'll do the same thing, because it has become my nature, disposition. So any wrong thing done, it will give me a wrong reaction, also a greater tendency to do the same mistake or same wrong thing. And then that kutam will lead to further sinful desires, bijam, and then it will again lead to papa. So it's a very vicious cycle, an unending cycle in one sense. Only by bhakti, this cycle gets broken. How? From where it gets broken? This is an incomplete diagram. When you study Nectar of Devotion, we'll complete it. But even if you look at this incomplete diagram, because of bhakti, where does the chain starts breaking? From where?
Sinful desire.
Very good.
Yes, sinful desire.
Very good. Sinful desire. So it changes our desire. By bhakti, we change our desire. Of course, we change our actions also, but then we also change our desire. And as we change our desire, we stop committing sinful actions. So the cycle then stops, right? Cycle stops. But what did not stop was the previous aprarabdhas, which is already there in the stock, going to manifest in future. They will keep on coming to us. So we have to wait and experience all of that in life. That will come to us. We'll discuss this more in Nectar of Devotion. So bhakti is purifying, pavitram. It purifies one from all these things. And how does the purification happen? A very nice example is given here in the Sanskrit shloka. Bhakti doesn't destroy all the karmas at once. It destroys karma one at a time. How? The example is given in this way. You take, let's say, 100 leaves, and you hold them in your hand, 100 leaves, a bunch of 100 leaves. And then you take a needle, and then you pierce the bunch of leaves with that needle. So the needle will not take much time to pass through those 100 leaves, because the needle has a sharp pinpoint, right? However, it doesn't pass through them at the same time. It passes through one leaf, then goes to the next, then goes to the next, then goes to the next. Like then it comes out of the 100th leaf, isn't it? But it takes very less time. So it appears as if the needle has gone through the whole thing at once. It has not gone through the whole thing at once. One at a time, it pierces the leaf. So bhakti also similarly, one at a time, removes our bad karma. How does that happen? By daily executing sadhana bhakti or following regulatory principles of bhakti, these sins get destroyed. one by one, one by one, one by one, one by one. And the person becomes more and more pure and pure and pure and pure and pure and pure and pure. Right? So it takes time. Krameshaha, gradually it happens. Not at one, not just one blow. It happens gradually. Pavitram. This is very special about bhakti. Next, direct experience. Pratyaksha avagamam. Something interesting Prabhupada mentions about that. Yes, Usha Mataji, please read. If you're there. You have to unmute yourself, Mataji. Have you unmuted?
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Sadar Pranam. Direct experience. In all types of religious systems, yoga, jnana, karma, or anything, whatever you have manufactured, you are not certain how much you have advanced. But if you practice bhakti yoga, you will be personally feeling, yes, I am making advancement. Lecture 9.2, Calcutta, 7th March, 1972.
Yes.
Hare Krishna.
So that's the speciality of bhakti. You don't have to ask others, am I growing in bhakti? No. If I am making progress in bhakti, I'll feel personally. That's how this process is. Very, very experiential process, right? It's not just theoretical, it's experiential. Like I heard in one class, and I really like that example. So all of us, we use bank accounts. So whenever, you spend some money, you pay a bill online, then you get a notification on a mobile phone that this much money has been deducted from your account. And if someone deposits some money to your account, does a credit, then you again get a message that so much money was credited to your account, and now the total available balance is so and so, isn't it? So this is a very gross mechanism of getting updates about credits and debits. Similarly, that's what happens in a spiritual life. For someone who is conscious, one will be able to see that as I'm making progress in my spiritual life, spiritual strength, spiritual qualities, spiritual experiences are getting credited to my spiritual life. And if I'm not making spiritual progress, I'm going down, then I'll also see these things going away, as if slipping out of my hand. I had it, it was in my hand, I was taking benefit of it, but then these things were taken away from me. I lost it. One will be able to see that. And to give you a very simple example, let's say if a devotee commits Vaishnava aparadha, which means offense towards another Vaishnava. So what will happen is that for that devotee, if that devotee was able to follow the principles of Krishna consciousness easily before, like getting up early in the morning or chanting japa or reading the Shastras, you'll find that devotee losing interest in all these activities. That will be a result of Vaishnava aparadha. Then these same activities will become very boring. And if that devotee serves some Vaishnavas and makes them very happy by sincere service, then that devotee will start finding again a great taste in the same activities, will be very happy in doing chanting, getting up early, studying the scriptures, will not find it boring. So this is how bhakti gives a very direct experience, very, very direct experience, right? Yes. And it will give us some message we'll get if we have done something wrong. We'll come to note that. We'll feel that. So that's pratyaksha avagamam. And susukham kartum, it can be joyfully performed. Susukham means two things. It's easy to perform and it's easy to complete. Both for bhakti. It's easy to do and it's easy to complete. You don't have to work very hard to complete the tasks in devotion. So it's very easy to complete. Someone please read. Yes, Vinod Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Susukham kartum. Everyone wants to dance. Everyone wants to sing. Everyone wants to eat. Through this formula, dancing, singing, and eating Krishna Prasad and hearing philosophical discussion, transcendental topics from Bhagavad-gita. So don't you think it is very happy? Susukham, lecture 8.28, 9.2, New York, 21 November 1966.
Okay. So I'll show a table which gives us a quick view of what Bhakti Yoga and other yogas, they give to us, the benefits. In Bhakti Yoga, we get all these 4 benefits. Destruction of all karmas. It gives you perception of God. One will be able to see God. It gives you, it's easy to execute. And Bhakti continues even after liberation. Avyayam. However, the fault with Karma Yoga is that Karma Yoga does not destroy all karmas. Yudhishthira Maharaj says, he gives a very good example. He says, if a pot has been used by someone to drink wine, okay? If a pot has been used by someone to drink wine, can you wash that pot by wine? No. No. You have to wash it with water to make it clean. So he says, how can karma be cancelled by karma? He says, how can karma be cancelled by karma? And this he said in what context? When after the war was over, Kurukshetra war was over, Yudhishthira Maharaj was very sad because he was thinking, for me to become the king, millions of people have died. I am a very, very selfish person, mean-minded, that I allowed this battle to happen for me to become the king. So Lord Krishna said, no, Yudhishthira, come on. And you did not really want to fight. Actually, you were trying to stop the battle, but the battle happened anyway. So Yudhishthira said, okay, it happened, but what about the sin that has been committed in killing so many people? So Krishna told Yudhishthira, you did Rajsuya Yajna, no? So you're free from the sin. And that time Yudhishthira Maharaj gave this example, that if someone has used a pitcher to drink wine, how can you clean that pitcher using the same wine? Means one karma cannot cancel another karma. So how does karma destroy karma? Only when karma turns into gyan. We studied that in chapter 4. Only when karma becomes transformed into gyan, that fire of knowledge will burn the karma. Right? So otherwise, one karma cannot destroy other. But bhakti, it destroys everything. And then karma yoga can only give one perception of Atma. One can only come to realization of soul. I am Atma. I cannot die. I am immortal. But it doesn't give you perception of Paramatma and Bhagavan. And of course, karma does not continue in spiritual world. And the flaws with Jnana Yoga and Ashtanga Yoga is that Jnana Yoga and Ashtanga Yoga are not easy to execute. We already did see that in chapter 6 of Bhagavad-gita. They also don't continue after liberation. And they only give us perception of Atma and Paramatma, doesn't give us perception of Bhagavan, God. So Bhakti Yoga is, comparatively we can see, it gives all the benefits. That's why it is Raja Vidya, is the king of all knowledge, knowledge which is flawless. And then the third shloka in this section, after that you can take a break. Krishna mentions faithless people will not. If Arjuna says, it is so easy, su sukham kartum, it is so easy, like Prabhupada said, chant, dance, and eat. Will not all engage in it? And Krishna said, no, the faithless won't. The faithless people will not engage in these activities. Ashraddha dana, they think it is too simple to give you complete success in life. You have to do much more to be happy. If you tell people, just chant Hare Krishna, you'll be happy, they'll say, only by chanting Hare Krishna, I'll be happy. I don't have to do a lot more things in life to be happy. It's not easy to be happy. You have to do so many things, achieve so many things, then you can become happy. So they don't have faith. They think it's an exaggeration. That's why they can't take to it. Like when Prabhupada was in Mumbai, Juhu temple, some of the neighbors of neighbors living in that area, they were making fun of devotees living in the temple. That you people are very lazy. You whole day live in the temple. You don't go out for job. You don't work hard, and you simply chant and you dance and you eat prasadam. So you are not contributing anything to the country's economy, right? our country is a backward country. So we want to make India the best. So you should contribute, work hard, and do something for the nation. So then Prabhupada told them, what is your problem? If you like, you can also join us. Open invitation, you can also be with us and very nicely eat, chant, and dance. And then those people say, no. We are hardworking ones. We don't want to live life like that. So they don't want to accept it. That's why they cannot accept the simple process of becoming happy by being Krishna conscious. And that's why they don't take to it. Ashraddha dhana, no faith, faithless. Right? Let's read the purport. Okay, someone please do read. Anju Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. The faithless cannot accomplish this process of devotional service. That is the purport of this verse. Faith is created by association with devotees. Unfortunately, people, even after hearing all the evidence of Vedic literature from great personalities, still have no faith in God. They are hesitant and cannot stay fixed in devotional service of the Lord. Thus, faith is a most important factor for the progress in Krishna consciousness. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is said that faith is the complete conviction that simply by serving the Supreme Lord, Sri Krishna, one can achieve all perfection. That is called real faith, as stated in Srimad Bhagavatam 4.31.14. Tathataror mula nischenen tripyanti tat shakskand vujo pakshehe prano precha cha yathendriyanam tatheva sarvahanam achyutejah. By giving water to the root of a tree, one satisfies its branches, twigs, and leaves, and by supplying food to the stomach, one satisfies all the senses of the body. Similarly, by engaging in transcendental service of the Supreme Lord, one automatically satisfies all demigods and all other living entities. Therefore, after reading Bhagavad-gita, one should promptly come to the conclusion of Bhagavad-gita. One should give up all other engagements and adopt the service of the Supreme Lord, Krishna, the personality of Godhead. If one is convinced of this philosophy of life, that is faith. Now, the development of that faith is the process of Krishna consciousness. There are three divisions of Krishna consciousness. One, in the third class, third class are those who have no faith. Even if they are officially engaged in devotional service, they cannot achieve the highest perfectional stage. Most probably, they will slip after some time. They may become engaged, but because they haven't complete conviction and faith, it is very difficult for them to continue in Krishna consciousness. We have practical experience in discharging our missionary activities that some people come and apply themselves to Krishna consciousness with some hidden motive. And as soon as they are economically a little well situated, they give up this process and take to their old ways again. It is only by faith that one can advance in Krishna consciousness. As far as the development of faith is concerned, one who is well versed in literature of devotional service and has attained the stage of firm faith is called a first-class person in Krishna consciousness. And in the second class are those who are not very advanced in understanding the devotional scripture, but who automatically have firm faith that Krishna Bhakti or service to Krishna is the best course, and so in good faith have taken it up. Thus, they are superior to the third class, who have neither perfect knowledge of the scripture nor good faith, but by association and simply are trying to follow. The third class person in Krishna consciousness may fall down, but when one is in second class, he does not fall down. No, and for the first class person in Krishna consciousness, there's no chance of falling down. One in the first class will surely make progress and achieve the result at the end. As far as the third class person in Krishna consciousness is concerned, although he has faith in the conviction that devotional service to Krishna is very good, he has not yet gained adequate knowledge of Krishna through the scriptures like Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad-gita. Sometimes these third class persons in Krishna consciousness have some tendency towards karma yoga and jnana yoga, and sometimes they are disturbed. But as soon as the infection of karma yoga or jnana yoga is vanquished, they become second class or first class persons in Krishna consciousness. Faith in Krishna is also divided into three categories as and described in Srimad Bhagavatam. First class attachment, second class attachment, and third class attachment are also explained in Srimad Bhagavatam in 11th canto. Those who have no faith, even after hearing about Krishna and the excellence of the devotional service, who think that it is simply eulogy, find the path very difficult, even if they are supposedly engaged in devotional service. For them, there is very little hope of gaining perfection. Thus, faith is very important in discharge of devotional service.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Krishna.
So let's take a break now. We'll meet after the break. We can take for a few minutes. We'll continue our discussion.
Hare Rama, Hare Rama.
Hare Krishna, welcome back. So we just completed hearing about the glories of the most confidential knowledge given in chapter 9. Now Krishna begins to speak on that. So he's going to talk about his relationship with the material world, something which he also described in chapter 7, but here there'll be a little more detail to it. There's some overlapping with the information he has already given in chapter 3, 4, and 5. However, it is interesting. So it's a very philosophical section, and that's why it will need more of your attention. If possible, please be present in the class and try to understand this concept. So this section talks about Lord Krishna's special ability to be simultaneously connected to the world and still remain disconnected, which is very interesting. When we become involved in some activities, we become very attached to the result. Like there are people who are very detached as long as they don't get involved into something. As soon as they get involved into something, then their tendency to control, manipulate, all begins to come out. Otherwise, they are very, very detached people. But Krishna, though is involved, he is still very detached. And that's quite an achievement. I mean, it's not easily possible. And Krishna calls that as his inconceivable potency, yogam aishwaram, his mystic opulence, that is connected yet disconnected. So these coming shlokas, they talk about 4 things. Shloka 4 to 6 of this chapter talks about how Krishna maintains the material world through his energies. Shloka 7 and 8 talks about how Krishna destroys and creates the world through his energies. 9 talks about all these activities do not bind Krishna, and 10 talks about Krishna remaining neutral. How does he do that? That's explained there. How does he remain neutral? So let's look at these shlokas. As I said, again, these are a bit complicated to understand, so please be attentive. Shloka number 4. We'll first chant all the shlokas of this section because it will help you understand the flow of the conversation. So let's chant shloka number 4. Maya tatam idam sarvam jagat avyakta murtina matsthani sarvabhutani na chaham teshu avasthitaha, na cha matsthani bhutani, pashyame yogam aishwaram, bhuta brinna cha bhutastho, mamatma bhuta bhavanaha. Yathakasha sthito nityam, vayuhu sarvatra go mahan, tatha sarvani bhutani, matsthani iti upadharaya. Sarva bhutani kaunteya, prakritim yanti mamikam, kalpakshaye punastani, kalpado vishrujamyaham. Prakritim samavashtapya, vishrujami punah punah, bhutagramam imam kritsnam, avasham prakriter vashat. Na chamam dani karmani, nivadnanti dhananjaya, udasinvad asinam, asaktam teshu karmasu. Mayadhyakshena prakritihi, suyate sa characharam, hetunanena kaunteya, jagat vipari vartate. So 9.4, it says, Maya tatam idam sarvam jagat avyaktamurtina. Idam sarvam, I am everywhere. God is everywhere. Many people know that. How? In which form? Avyaktamurtina, in a form which is invisible, which is unmanifest. Matstani sarvabhutani, all the beings are in me. Na chaham teshu avasthitaha, but I am not in them. So the translation goes like this: by me in my unmanifested form, this entire universe is pervaded. All beings are in me, but I am not in them. Now, if you look at this shloka itself, you can see that it is talking of two opposite things. First, it says the Lord is everywhere. Now, when something is everywhere, that means something is in everything, isn't it? If air is everywhere, then air has to be inside everything. If space is everywhere, space has to be inside everything. So if God is everywhere, God has to be inside everything. So one will come to that conclusion. And then it says, all beings are in me, which means that everything is inside God. So how can one who is inside everything have everything inside him? And then the last line, it says, I'm not in them. Now, if you are not in them, how can you be everywhere? So this shloka and the next shloka, and similarly shlokas in chapter 13, they are very contradicting. Or they are like a puzzle, a riddle. Makes one think, how is it possible? It's not possible. No, it's possible. No, it's not possible. So this is the style of Upanishads to make one go deeper into the subject, so that a person is forced to contemplate and then come to the right conclusion. So here, what is actually being spoken is, though God is everywhere, we don't see him. Why we don't see him? Because he's avyakta murtina, in an unmanifested form. Prabhupada explains, unmanifest to whom and to what? Unmanifest to the blunt material senses. These eyes are not good enough, qualified enough to see that Lord who is present everywhere, in everything. Okay? Not manifest to blunt material senses. And then when he says, all beings are in me, this is having an interpretation. It has a meaning. What is that? All things rest on his energy. All beings are in me means everything rests on his energy. Everything is held into its place by his energy, which means the material nature depends upon him. And when he says, I am not in them, it means that though the material nature depends on him, he does not depend on material nature. He's aloof. He does not depend on them. And then this whole thing is explained by Srila Prabhupada using some analogies. Very good analogies he uses to explain. So like he says here, you can see he gives the analogy of a king. For example, a king heads a government, which is but the manifestation of the king's energy. The different governmental departments are nothing but the energies of the king. And each department is resting on the king's power. But still one cannot expect the king to be present in every department personally. The king is everywhere, yet the king is not everywhere. The king is everywhere through his power, his control, his energies, his ministers, through his policies, through his laws. And the king is not everywhere because the king is sitting in one place, either in his palace room or in the courtroom, somewhere, personally. Present, yet not present. Right? So Krishna is present everywhere through his energies. Everything rests upon his energies, and that's how he controls. So how do we, the way we understand is, Krishna is the source of the material world. Krishna maintains the material world, but Krishna does not associate directly with the material world. Not affected by it. Is not affected by what happens in the material world. Okay. So this is explained in this verse. Now, someone please read this paragraph, 9.4, purport. Sonali Mataji, yes, you can read, please.
Hare Krishna. Yet one should not conclude that because he is spread all over, he has lost his personal existence. To refute such an argument, the Lord says, I am everywhere and everything is in me, but still I am aloof. For example, a king heads a government, which is but the manifestation of the king's energy. The different governmental departments are nothing but the energies of the king, and each department is. Prabhuji, can you take it upward? Department is resting on the king's power, but still one cannot expect the king to be present in every department personally. That is a crude example. Similarly, all the manifestations that we see and everything that exists, both in this material world and in the spiritual world, are resting on the energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The creation takes place by the diffusion of his different energies. And as stated in the Bhagavad-gita, 𝗪𝗵𝗿𝗪. He is everywhere present by his personal representation, the diffusion of his different energies. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Then now look at the next shloka, which contradicts the previous shloka. The next shloka says, Na cha matsthani bhutani. In the previous shloka, he said, Matsthani sarva bhutani. Here he says, Na cha matsthani bhutani. Just exactly opposite. All that is created does not rest in me. Why he had to say so? Because someone may think, because everything is resting on Krishna, Krishna might be burdened by all that, or he might be feeling the pain of it, you know. And that's why there are some stupid people who have written books like, God created this world, and then he saw it's all out of my control now. So then he left this world, he ran away. And that's why the world is a miserable place. No justice, no control. Things are going on in crazy manner. So they derive such conclusions. So Krishna is saying, all that is created does not rest in me. I'm not burdened by that. Behold my mystic opulence. Although I am the maintainer of all living entities, and although I'm everywhere, I'm not a part of this cosmic manifestation. For myself is the very source of creation. What we understand is something very important here. God is a bundle of contradictions, and human brain cannot comprehend the statements of the scriptures on its own, because the scriptures also speak in a very mysterious language. Explanations are needed by the Lord himself or by those who are very close to the Lord, who know the Lord, who understand the import of his statements. And those personalities are acharyas who understand what is actually Krishna's message. We get to understand these complex statements only by their help. If Srila Prabhupada or Vaishnava acharyas previous to Prabhupada would not have given commentaries on Bhagavad-gita, what we would be doing now would be very different from what we are doing now. I have read some books on Bhagavad-gita written by other authors. And their Gita is so plain. It doesn't have intricate explanations, or it has only speculation, nothing authentic. But we get all this information by the mercy of the Vaishnava Acharyas. That's why lesson is the easiest and the safest way to learn true knowledge is by receiving it through the authorities. Then we know the truth completely. And Prabhupada talks about that. Let's read the purport here. Someone would like to read the purport? 9.5. Yes. Is that Yashant or Vinod Prabhu?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare
The
Krishna.
Lord says that everything is resting on him. Matasthani sarva bhutani. This should not be misunderstood. The Lord is not directly concerned with the maintenance and sustenance of this material manifestation. Sometimes we see a picture of Atlas holding the globe on his shoulders. He seems to be very tired holding this great earthly planet. Such an image should not be entertained in connection with Krishna's upholding this created universe. He says that although everything is resting on him, he is aloof. The planetary systems are floating in space, and this space is the energy of the Supreme Lord. But he is different from space. He is differently situated. Therefore, the Lord says, although they are situated on my inconceivable energy, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, I am aloof from them. This is the inconceivable opulence of the Lord. In the Nirukti Vedic dictionary, it is said, Yujyate nena durghateshu karyeshu. The Supreme Lord is performing inconceivably wonderful pastimes, displaying his energy. His person is full of different potent energies, and his determination is itself actual fact. In this way, the personality of Godhead is to be understood. We may think of doing something, but there are so many impediments, and sometimes it is not possible to do as we like. But when Krishna wants to do something simply by his willing, everything is performed so perfectly that one cannot imagine how it is being done. The Lord explains this fact. Although he is the maintainer and sustainer of the entire manifestation, he does not touch this material manifestation. Simply by his supreme will, everything is created, everything is sustained, everything is maintained, and everything is annihilated. There is no difference between his mind and himself, as there is a difference between ourselves and our material mind, because he is absolute spirit. Simultaneously, the Lord is present in everything, yet the common man cannot understand how he is also present personally. He is different from this material manifestation, yet everything is resting on him. This is explained here as Yogam Aishwaryam, mystic power of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Now, you all watch YouTube. I also sometimes watch videos. So sometimes you see these ads coming up in the beginning of the video. And nowadays you get a lot of ads related to online courses, online business plans, all of these business coaches teaching you how to make quick money. So, there's this recent ad which I saw where a person is telling, I'm most of the time on holidays and still I make a lot of money. If you also want to do the same, then you join my course that you can be always on holiday and still make money, right? Such kind of things keep on coming. So why people are interested in those things? Because Krishna is something like that only, He's always on a holiday and everything goes on the way he wants. The material world is created, destroyed, things are moving on. And he's free, not affected by it. But humans cannot do that. Humans, if they start something, they know that if you don't really push, the thing will not move forward, right? Any one of you, if you ever took an initiative of starting a project, even if you have hundreds of people involved in that project, until unless you push people, things will not get done, isn't it? Right? Either you have to push them, or you have to pull them, or you have to inspire them, giving them, certificates, awards, rewards, throw parties, take them on a tour, inspire them, give them promotion, higher salary. Then they're going to work for you. Otherwise not. Otherwise not. So only Krishna can do that he does all that, and still he's not, because Krishna has this one quality which we don't have, unfortunately. What is that? Krishna is Satya Sankalpaha. Whatever he desires, it gets automatically fulfilled. We desire, and then we have to also put so much of efforts in getting that thing done. Okay. Stock market question came up. We'll take that later. I don't know how is that related to it, but I can understand. Easy work you are trying to say, right? So Prabhupada explains this with this example. Atlas upholding the earth. Atlas was a Greek god. He said, sometimes we see a picture of Atlas holding a globe on his shoulders. He seems to be very tired, holding this great earthly planet. Such an image should not be entertained in connection with Krishna's upholding this created universe. He says that although everything is resting on him, he is aloof. Once Prabhupada asked one of his disciples, Chadurani Mataji, to first time paint the picture of Krishna lifting Govardhan hill. She asked Prabhupada for all the details. Prabhupada gave all the details. After that, when the painting was over, she came and showed to Prabhupada. She had made 6-pack abs for Krishna, and then showed that he has those, muscles and biceps and triceps holding Govardhan. So I said, what is this? I said, he's holding a mountain, so his body should be like that, isn't it? And Prabhupada said, no, that's for ordinary human. For Krishna, his body is very delicate, just like butter. Still, he can hold the mountain. So you don't have to make all this biceps and triceps. Keep him as a soft, delicate boy. It's his extraordinary potency that he can still lift a mountain. So people, they try to fit God in their own imagination. Now, to explain how it happens, Krishna gives this analogy, a new analogy in text 6. Yatha akasha sthito nityam vayuh sarvatra go mahan tatha sarvani bhutani matsthani iti upadharaya. Understand that as the mighty wind blowing everywhere rests always in the sky, all created beings rest in me. There are two kinds of people in this world. One kind is that who thinks everything depends on my endeavor, and the other kind is that who thinks everything is decided. But both are wrong. We are dependent on God, and yet we are independent. This is a play that goes on always, at every moment of our life. We are dependent, yet we are independent. And to explain that phenomenon, here Krishna is giving this example, that how everything is dependent on him, yet he does not really choke people's life, suffocate them. No, he gives them freedom. You heard this statement before, not even a blade of grass can move without God's will. So it doesn't mean that everything is controlled by the Supreme Lord. We are free to do things, and this analogy explains that think of sky as an upside down bowl, and that sky is limiting the freedom of wind. Wind is flowing around within this periphery of the sky. The wind is free to move, but the wind is still not free to go out of that boundary. It is limited within the boundary. That's how the living entities are. Krishna has put them within the boundaries of laws. We'll discuss this more in chapter 13, kshetra gayo vibhaga yoga. But he has given them some freedom also. Based on their desires, they can execute actions, right? In this way, Krishna checks them and yet doesn't check them. Controls them, yet gives them freedom. They are dependent, yet they are independent. That is how it functions. So let's read this purport. Someone quickly do the reading for first paragraph of this purport. Snehal Mataji, please read.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
For the ordinary person, it is almost inconceivable how the huge material creation is resting in him. But the Lord is giving an example which may help us to understand. The sky may be the biggest manifestation we can conceive. And in that sky, the wind or air is the biggest manifestation in the cosmic world. The movement of the air influences the movements of everything. But although the wind is great, it is still situated within the sky. The wind is not beyond the sky. Similarly, all the wonderful cosmic manifestations are existing by the supreme will of God, and all of them are subordinate to that supreme will. As we generally say, not a blade of grass moves without the will of the supreme personality of Godhead. Thus, everything is moving under his will. By his will, everything is being created, everything is being maintained, and everything is being annihilated. Still, he is aloof from everything, as the sky is always aloof from the activities of the wind.
Thank you. So that's the analogy given by Krishna here. And then we go to the next part where Krishna says, I maintain and I also create and destroy. So we'll read 9.7 and 9.8. Sarva bhutani kaunteya prakritim yanti mamikam kalpakshaye punastani kalpado vishrijamyaham. O son of Kunti, at the end of the millennium, all material manifestations enter into my nature. And at the beginning of another millennium, by my pondered, I create them again. This is very similar to what we studied in chapter 8. Brahma's day, Brahma's night, creation, then destruction, then creation again. So purport is the same to what we discussed before. Going to text 8. Prakritim swamavashtabhya vishrijami punaha punah bhutagramamimam kritsnam avasham prakriter vashat. The whole cosmic order is under me. Under my will, it is automatically manifested again and again. And under my will, it is annihilated at the end. This will word which Krishna uses, this is called Ichha Shakti. Krishna's desiring potency. He desires and then his energies, they carry out everything. Just like any big man, that big man doesn't have to do things on his own. That person just has to desire and then express. And then there are people to carry out those activities. Similarly, Krishna just desires and the material energy is at work. What does work for Krishna? So here is explained. Let's read the purport. Someone please read the purport. Srinivas
Hare
Gopal.
Krishna Prabhu. This material world is the manifestation of the inferior energy of Supreme Personality of Godhead. This has already been explained several times. At the creation, the material energy is let loose as the Mahatattva, into which the Lord, as his first Purusha incarnation, Mahavishnu, enters. He lies within the causeless ocean and breathes out innumerable universes. And into each universe, the Lord again enters as 𝗪𝗶𝗹𝗿 Vishnu. Each universe is in that way created. He still further manifests himself as kshirodakashayi Vishnu, and that Vishnu enters into everything, even into the minute atom. This fact is explained here. He enters into everything. Shall I continue, Prabhuji?
Yes, Prabhu.
Now, as far as the living entities are concerned, they are impregnant into this material nature, and as a result of their past deeds, they take different positions. Thus, the activities of this material world begins. The activities of the different species of living beings are begun from the very moment of the creation. It is not that all is evolved. The different species of life are created immediately along with the universe. Man, animals, beasts, birds, everything is simultaneously created. Because whatever desires the living entities had at the last annihilation are again manifested. It is clearly indicated here by the word avasam that the living entities have nothing to do with this process. The state of being in this past life is the past creation is simply manifested again. And all this is done simply by his will. This is the inconceivable potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And after creating different species of life, he has no connection with them. The creation takes place to accommodate the inclination of the various living entities. And so the Lord does not become involved with it. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Any question or comments? We'll continue with next two verses in next class, because there we have to do some discussion that will take a lot of time. So verse number 9 we'll do next class. There were some questions in the comment box also. Yes, Satyadevta Prabhuji.
Prabhuji, Krishna says as Paramatma, I'm into everything like Kshirodakshai Krishna, but it's at the same time in the before sloka, he's saying I'm not in them.
He's not in them. Yeah.
I could not understand, Prabhu. I know you explained, but I could not understand.
Okay. So, it's very simple. Krishna is playing with his words actually here. When he says I'm everywhere, then in which way is he everywhere? Avyakta Murtina, which means as Brahman is everywhere, as Paramatma is everywhere. Right? And when he says I'm not in everything, or I'm not in everyone, but as Paramatma is in everyone. So when he says I'm not in everyone, then he refers to his Bhagavan aspect, which is present only in the spiritual world, as Krishna, as Narayana, as Ramachandra. So in that way, he's not in everyone. He's away in his planet, Golok Vrindavan. Goluf. So Prabhupada said, right, king is there, minister is there, the energies are there. Who is Paramatma? Though we say Paramatma is the same as Krishna, at the same time, Paramatma is not same as Krishna, because Paramatma is an ansha of Krishna. He's a Purusha avatar of Krishna. So Paramatma is an ansha, same in tattva, but not same in identity. Isn't it? And the role of that Paramatma is to just act as a witness. Srila Jiva Goswami gives this example. When a king sends his child to a fair, mela, then he sends his minister with the child, that you please assist my son in the fair, which ride he wants to play, what he wants to eat. So similarly, when the conditioned soul comes to material world, the Supreme Lord Krishna sends his minister, Paramatma, with the living entity. So that Paramatma is in everyone, every living entity, but that Krishna, that king, is aloof, is sitting in his place.
So here, Krishna is principally delineating between the Paramatma concept and the Bhagavan concept.
Correct. That's what he's trying to, this is what he's saying.
Okay. Yeah, then I'm able to connect. Thank you.
All right. Okay. Yeah, thank you. Something else was there in the chat box. Pankaj Prabhu said, need explanation on first class, second class, third class attachment mentioned in the Prabhupada. This is given in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 11, and we'll talk about it when we study the same topic in Updeshamrita and Ishopanishada, 3 types of devotees, Uttama, Madhyama, Kanishta. So we'll discuss there in detail about it. Right? So please wait for those books. We'll discuss there more. Is trading same as gambling? Stock market. It depends on how do you trade. I think the context in which you ask this question is making easy money, right? Right. Okay. So it depends on how you trade. If the trade is an investment, like for example, you bought stock, you know this is a good company and it's going to have profits. It's going to go up and up and up. So you buy the stock and then after 6 months or a year, you sell that stock and you keep the profit with you. That's trading. That's okay. It's just like you give a land to someone on interest, right? On loan, and then take some interest kind of thing. Or someone borrowed money from you, you ask that person to pay interest. However, that same stock market trading can become gambling if that person is 24 hours sitting in front of the screen, and then, just looking at which one went up, which one went down, take money out from here, put money in that, earn 2 paisas here in this stock, and we have, let's say, 1 lakh such stocks, and 2 paisa of that makes a good amount. Then invest it immediately there, and then by the end of the day, then so they are totally absorbed in how we can somehow manipulate the game and make money, isn't it? Which the present technology facilitates. Previously, people did not have this screen in front of them, and they're looking always at the rates going up and down, isn't it? They would buy the stock, and then after months and months, they would call the person and say, how is the stock doing? And they say, it's doing good. Okay, you sell it. But now, this anxiety is there, that constant anxiety, which is going up, which is going down. That makes it gambling. Okay. So it's basically the factor of what do you call? I'm not getting that word. It depends on the risk factor, actually. So if you are playing on that risk factor, then you're gambling. But if it's just an investment and you're peaceful about it, then it's fine. It's trade. Okay, fine. Okay, thank you. Next, someone said something. Is that a comment? If you come in bhakti, bijam destroys. Does kutam also destroy? Yeah, of course. Kutam will get destroyed. It's part of the same cycle, isn't it? But then kutam will not get destroyed for the previously stored aprarabdha. So that tendency still might be there, and that will continue to push one. That's why when you study Updeshamrita, the first shloka, it says, Vachu vegam manasah krodha vegam jivva vegam udaro pastha vegam. So it says that there is something which will force you to do things, but then you tolerate them, because if you don't tolerate them, it is your past only which is pushing you to create a new bad karma. So you tolerate it. And how long should I tolerate? You tolerate for a while, till the time everything gets neutralized. So that's why that lesson is given to us. Tolerate, because your past will provoke you or tempt you to do the same wrong thing. So you tolerate, right? Future option in intraday trading involves high Vaishnava. So these are kind of so much reason about. Okay, that's a comment. How to come to the stage of anasuya? How to become non-envious? That's what you're asking, right, Prabhu? How to become non-envious? We become non-envious by a simple practice. What is that? Begin to appreciate. That's how you become non-envious. We should appreciate that person towards whom we feel envy. And that appreciation may not be heartfelt appreciation in the beginning because of envy. So one should just do that, even if it's artificial. Just do it. So that then makes our envy weak. So we have to start it somewhere. So we start like that. You are envious about someone, try to find a good in that person and appreciate it. By either telling that person about it, or telling someone else about it, or writing about it. We have to express it. We have to throw the poison out, right? So how do we throw the poison out? By taking the nectar in. Appreciation is the nectar, amrita. So you appreciate, begin to appreciate, right? When we begin to appreciate, then the quality of envy subsides. It goes down, 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 down. That is the reason why we are discussing Krishna Katha and hearing Krishna Katha. Why? Because in this way we are trying to appreciate Krishna. And by appreciating Krishna, our envy for Krishna is going down. It's kind of recreating the loving environment in our heart by removing the envy, cleaning away the envy. So we appreciate. That's the easiest way to do that. Okay, Satyadeva Prabhu, your hand is up again. Is that question?
Yeah, Prabhu, this relating to this, the sin removal, you're explaining the bijam will be removed Aprarabdha and prarabdha will not be removed, Prabhu?
Prarabdha and aprarabdha will be removed, but then prarabdha takes long time to get removed. Actually, prarabdha cannot be completely removed because that is something which is already given to you. Like, to give an example, the body has already been given to me. If I remove if prarabdha will get removed, then my body will be gone. But I need this body, for performing sadhana. So the body is there. So, and when the body is there, then things associated with the body are also there, right? And aprarabdha depends on now how much that aprarabdha has developed. Certain things will get removed, certain things will not get removed. It all depends on the intensity of the practice of Krishna consciousness. If the practice is very intense, then it will remove many things. If it's not intense, then it's like I'm destroying some seeds, but I am also planting in some more seeds, sowing some more seeds, right? So that way it's very slow because you got free from certain things, but then you added certain other things. You got free from certain things, you added certain other things. Whose bhakti is very intense, many things get destroyed by the practice of bhakti, and then which are tough to get destroyed, they will take time, they get destroyed eventually. This is explained in Nectar of Devotion very nicely. In which stage, which aparadha mentality or which offense gets rectified, which generally most of the sins, they get cleared up by the stage of nishtha, because anartha nivritti is done and nishtha has come. So by nishtha, one becomes free from papa, almost free from papa. But what remains is aparadha, offenses. And then those offenses go on till the stage of bhava. Then one becomes free from offenses, then one goes into the stage of prema. So it slowly happens.
See, now, in ordinary people, I can understand, Prabhu, we are trying to remove and we are trying to put some, but when we see great people like even acharyas and several other people, of course, they may not be thinking that they are suffering, but we see many acharyas also, they suffer, they go through so many bodily problems, because every now and then in the Shastra, it is written that all sins will be removed, vanquished, material miseries.
Acharyas, they have these bodily troubles. So the reason, first of all, it's not really a trouble for them because their activities don't get hampered by it. When we are suffering, when we have a body problem or mind-related problem, it hampers our activities.
Yes.
But for them, it doesn't. So it's not a suffering for them.
Okay.
Because their consciousness is pure, unaffected. It doesn't hamper them, right? First thing. Second thing, the reason they suffer can be many. First of all, it can be voluntarily accepted suffering of others, which they have taken upon themselves. It can be also sins committed by disciples, and they have taken it on themselves, right? It can also be an illusion created by Lord Krishna to teach people that they should also be very determined in practicing Krishna consciousness. So teaching through the examples of these people, these great acharyas, that if there's some problem like that, don't give up Krishna consciousness. Look at them, they did not give up. Right? And fourth thing, this is something which I spoke in another course I was taking for devotees on spiritual connection book. That situation that we see as suffering, actually that situation is used by Lord Krishna to enhance his relationship with the devotee. How? Because in that situation, that devotee depends on Krishna. And when the devotee depends on Krishna, Krishna gets an opportunity to provide protection to that devotee. So it's just like if I I'm just giving a crude example. If I want to attract someone's attention towards me, then I'll do something, correct, which will attract that person's attention to me. How would a child attract mother's attention? By crying,
right,
or by sending signal to the mother that I'm in danger, I need help. Because the mother thinks I am the provider and protector, she'll immediately run to help. Isn't it? Because the child needs help. So similarly, in the life of devotee, because the devotee always wants to experience Krishna's closeness, Krishna's protection, Krishna's mercy, the Yogamaya potency of Krishna keeps on putting the devotee in those situations where that devotee will ask for help or depend for help. And then Krishna will wonderfully land like a hero, and help the devotee. So that enhances Krishna's relationship with that devotee. So that devotee doesn't see it as the devotee doesn't see that as a botheration. In fact, the devotee sees that as an opportunity to reunite with Krishna. Kunti Maharani is saying the same thing in her prayers, right? That I pray to you, I request you that all these problems come again and again and again and again and again and again. So then she says, because when these problems come, they give us opportunities to see you again and again and again and again. So they are more interested in that point, that opportunity to see you. They're interested more in that. And how does that happen is by the coming of these problems. So then they take that problems as a welcome thing. Very nice. If this is what is showing, if this is what is making me see Krishna or be with Krishna, it's most welcome. All right. And their consciousness is so materially untouched that the problems don't really affect them. They don't get disturbed by it so much. It's like, let's say you're playing a video game and then you are acting as a character. You may have emotions connected to that character, but you don't really have experiences of that character.
Yes.
Isn't it? So in real life, you will not jump off a cliff. But in a video game, you may. Correct. Because there is excitement there. So similarly, the pure devotees, they are so disconnected from their material life that what we think as risky, they see that as excitement. Isn't it? Like jumping off a cliff in a game. If that character was alive, that's very risky, but for you, it's excitement. Let me jump off a cliff. Similarly, for them, it's an excitement for them. It is not at all a risk. They're so fixed in the knowledge, I am Atma, I cannot die. So what's the point of risk then? Right? So they enjoy, they enjoy it. We cannot.
Thank you.
And because we don't experience it, we cannot really relate to that. How can they enjoy? But they enjoy it. They are happy about it. Sonali Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. It is not related to the topic, but yes, I faced a situation 2 days back at work where people normally orders lunch from outside, and due to Kartik Mas, we are avoiding. So when they asked me why you're not having outside food, even in the canteen, then I informed that this is a Kartik Mas going on, so I'm avoiding onion garlic. So one of the colleague, she's not matured enough, but she thinks that she's matured. She commented on the Kartik Mas in a bad way. She made bad comments about it, and it made me very sad. And I was little astonished that how can a person speak about something being a Hindu or a religious person. So I didn't know that how to handle the situation in a better way. I just told her that, if you don't know about something, you should not speak bad at least about that thing. But it was about the Kartik Mas, not about a personal endeavors. So how to handle such situations?
Well, no. It all depends on how much emotional person you are. Those who are not so emotional, they'll handle it differently. Those who are emotional, they may outburst. So don't worry so much about it. It's okay. If you, it's not about just how to handle those situations. If you want to have different experience in life, you have to become a different person. Sometimes we think, no, I want to remain the same person, but then I want to have a different experiences. That's not going to happen, right? So if you want to not have those kind of experiences, then you have to also change as a person. Then that means change in many other areas of life as well, in how you deal with situations. Correct. So take it easy. It's fine. It happens. In such situations, generally we should avoid company of people whom we know will not appreciate what we do. Now she is not in favor of it. So next time, don't tell her anything about anything like that. Keep distance. So she'll not attack you again verbally.
So Prabhuji, this is the colleague who sits right beside me, and she always comes up with a topic to discuss with me about, ISKCON, Krishna consciousness. She has even taken.
If she doesn't hear from you in a submissive manner, in a faithful manner, then you can always tell her, no, that we can discuss some other topic. Why discuss this topic only? There are so many topics to talk about. And if there is no topic to talk about, then it's very good for health to keep quiet. Tell her. It's very good for health to keep quiet. Right?
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Yes, Usha Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, I had two questions, one from this chapter and the other one from the previous chapters. Prabhuji, I'm a little confused about prarabdha karma. Earlier I was doing some other course, some pranic healing. So there I came to know that if you do something really very good karma or something really very good deed, then your prarabdha karma cancels totally.
Yeah.
Is it true, Prabhuji?
So it's like this. Now, for example, I stole money. Mm-hmm. Okay. And the punishment to that was, because you stole money, you will be put in jail for 10 years. I'll be put in jail. That's my prarabdha. It will finally give me that fruit. Prarabdha means the ultimate end result, right? So I'll be put in jail. But then I tell that person, see, I have changed now. So can you give me an alternate? I don't want to go to jail. Mm-hmm. So that person will say, okay, you stole money. How much money you stole? He said, I stole 5,000 gold coins. So then you give me 50,000 gold coins. Then you don't have to go to jail. Right? So in that way, you pay 50,000 and you don't go to jail. But paying that 50,000 is also suffering, no? Mm-hmm. Staying in the jail for 10 years is suffering, but paying that 50,000 is also suffering, because that 50,000 was earned with so much of hard work, and you could use that 50,000 for sense gratification, right? So it may appear that you cancel your prarabdha, but it's not that you cancel, you just paid the bill in a different way. Okay. Mm-hmm. Just paid the bill in a different way, but you didn't cancel. So one cannot get rid of it. It's just that I voluntarily decided to pay it off in a different way. It's not cancelled. Got it?
Yeah, Prabhuji, one more. Actually, we were talking about impersonalists and personalists. Just an example of water which you had given us. Like water, impersonalist will always appreciate that it is tasty, but a personalist will glorify it. Instead of appreciating, it will further glorify. So we are saying if we become personal in life also, we'll become more personal to Krishna. So, Prabhuji, how do we really become personal to Krishna? Only even if we glorify, we are thinking in our mind only that God, thank you. I was very thirsty, and this water is able to. I'm able to quench my thirst. But in real life, I really don't know how I can appreciate.
Very easy. Like real life, how do you become more personal to Krishna? You are thirsty, water quenches your thirst. So if you have a deity of Krishna or a picture of Krishna, then you offer Krishna also some water.
Okay. Okay, when
That's
I'm
called-
thirsty, I can also offer him also.
That's being personal. You offer Krishna water. You eat food, so you want to then feed Krishna. You do shopping on Deepavali, so buy Krishna also a dress on Deepavali. Right? You throw a birthday party, celebrate Krishna's birthday. So this is called being personal to Krishna, right? You treat Krishna as a person. That's the whole idea. That's
Whatever you like for yourself, you can at least you want to give it to Krishna first before you put it for yourself.
Yes.
Very good
Yes.
idea.
Very
Thank
good
you.
idea. But then it should be also something permissible. Like sometimes people do really crazy things. We cannot really offer Krishna anything and everything. It should be what Krishna accepts, isn't it? Then yes, you offer it to Krishna. Then that's very nice. The way Krishna likes it. All right.
Thank you very much,
One
Prabhu.
more. Yes, thank you, Madhavi. Please clarify again, Prabhuji. Does bhakti destroy past karma? Yes, it destroys. Does your future karma accrual stop? Yes, also. But it takes time, no? I give you the example, the leaves, bunch of leaves, putting the needle through. Slowly, gradually it happens. Past, present, future, everything. All karmas get destroyed. But it takes time. It's just like, if I ask you to uproot a simple, very thin and weak plant, very easy. But if I ask you to uproot a banyan tree, it takes time, right? You have to bring an axe and then really use your power to cut it down. So all karmas are not same type. Some karmas are very heavy. The reaction is very heavy. So it takes time to uproot those things, to get free from those things. Some are very small, petty karma. They get wiped off easily. Okay. So the process works. It takes time. All right. We'll stop here. Thank you so much. See you tomorrow.